Silence as a none.
Okay, those of you online, can you hear the room? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Cool.
Bingo. Is there a way to turn that up, Dave?
Yes.
But Ralph and Victoria are not on video.
They are not. Yeah, they're muted currently. They need to turn their video on. Ralph and Victoria, please turn your video on, please. And Jason, did you need to show anything document-wise for the room? Any of the documents?
If you have item A3 on the agenda, that would be great. So our streaming audience can see it.
Which one is it? The agenda?
Yes, we're moving to item A3, so we'll start with that. Once we
Okay.
welcome everybody to the session.
Never mind. Let me just go to the file.
Everyone here in the room has access to the documents that's in.
Here's A3.
All right. I'll call the Fire Standing Committee meeting to order. I see that I'm president, Jason, Kim Wooten's president, Mark Medini, Victoria Watlington. Rob Zappel was here earlier. Did he sign back in?
He's received the invitation.
Okay. Natalie McDonald, Ralph Eichner, and Andy Cole.
Ralph Eichner, I still can't see Ralph Eichner's video and he's muted.
Yep.
So I don't know if he's on or not able to join with video or what's going on. I see Victoria. Hi, Victoria.
Since we're running late, let's just keep moving.
All right, A3. We have a request from Gaston County for approval to adopt and enforce the following appendices contained in the North Carolina Fire Code: B, C, D, E, F, G, H, J, and L. And staff has reviewed it. Charlie's reviewed it, and it says it's more stringent than the adopted statewide fire prevention code. It's found to regulate activities and conditions of buildings and structures that pose dangers of fire explosion or related hazards and are not in conflict with state building code. Make a motion that we approve this and let it go to the council floor tomorrow. If you want to have a discussion on it. So we do a round robin since everyone's not present. Kim Wooten,
I approve it.
Mark Matheny,
Aye.
Gloria Shealy's not here. Rob's not on. Natalie McDonald, Ralph Eichner.
We didn't hear you, Ralph.
You're muted.
Was that a
Aye.
yes?
Yes, sorry.
Thank
And Jason approved. All right. Item A4 is a request from the town of Smithfield for approval to amend their code of ordinance, Chapter 7, Fire Prevention and Protection, Article 3, Fire Prevention Code, and Chapter 11, Offenses and Miscellaneous Provisions, Section 1125, Recurring False Fire and Burglar Alarms. Sure I got the right one. All right. So Charlie, you reviewed it, and it's more stringent than the adopted statewide fire prevention code. It's found to regulate only activities and conditions of building structures and premises, and that pose dangers of fire explosion or related hazards and are matters not in conflict with the state building code. Does anyone have any comments on this?
Basically, just a terminology question on false alarms.
Mhm.
And that may be wording that we're comfortable with, but I know nuisance alarms was really, a conversation in years past in other jurisdictions I've been with, is that they didn't want to use the term false alarm
Right.
because it actually is an alarm. They refer to them basically as nuisance alarms. I'm fine with this either way, but I just want to be sure that the terminology is correct.
Sure. So the section that it references in their ordinances, it says, it's titled false alarms, shall maintain a comprehensive false alarm citation program that monitors the response of the fire department to fire alarms at establishments located within the town limits and ETJ. Based on the disposition of the response to the alarm, the establishment will be assessed appropriately in accordance with Chapter 1125, recurring false or nuisance fire and burglar alarm. Service of the citation for recurring false or nuisance alarm activation shall be made upon the owner, occupant, or other person responsible for the conditions, either by direct in-person delivery, electronic mail within delivery, sending a copy of U.S. certified mail.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree that,
Within this, they also included a definition for nuisance alarm.
but not false. Right. I understand the intent, but I don't.
I mean, if they understand it and they obviously have that written in their ordinance,
Right.
That way, I mean, I'm sure they're fine with it as a jurisdiction.
Yeah, right.
And that they actually do include nuisance, I think is valuable.
And part of this request, sorry, Jason, is they're taking out 3 existing sections. This is apparently a previously approved ordinance through the town, and those 3 sections that are shown on the screen are being taken out or deleted from their current ordinance.
I'm good with it. I think it is helpful that they do have nuisance alarm defined. I think that is, I assume that's the intent. All right, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve it.
I second the
moved.
motion.
Okay, do you want to vote on it?
Yes.
All right, Mark Matheny, Victoria, Watlington,
Yes.
Ralph Wagner,
Yes.
Natalie McDonald,
Yes.
Andy Cole,
Yes.
and Jason, yes. All right, this passed, and we'll go to the council floor tomorrow. Item 8.5, request from Forsyth County to adopt their amend fire protection ordinance by adding a new section 1015 to regulate the use of combustible landscape material. And my understanding is that the proponent, Gary Stires, Deputy Chief, is going to be here tomorrow.
That was the schedule. Gary has since this ordinance was amended, Gary has accepted a new position as the fire chief of Clemens Fire Department. So I'm not sure when his official start date is, but he had indicated to me previously if he couldn't be here, that Scott Ruth would be here. So I think we'll have either Gary or Scott will be here from Forsyth to elaborate on this tomorrow if needed.
Okay. So it looks like staff has reviewed it, and it's more stringent than the fire prevention code, regulates activities and conditions in building structures and premises that pose dangers of fire explosion or related hazard and are not in conflict with the state building code. in the section 1015, use of combustible landscaping materials, no pine straw, mulch, or any other landscape cover material with a fire rate of spread more than 24 inches per minute shall be placed, kept, or stored within 10 feet of dwellings with combustible exterior construction, including but not limited to vinyl, aluminum, masonite, or similar material, or wood siding. This provision shall not apply to 1 and 2 family dwellings as defined in section R101.2 of the North Carolina Residential Building Code, as the same may be amended, nor shall it apply to pine straw falling from trees located on the same parcel as the dwelling. For the purpose of this section, a dwelling with a combustible material no lower than 10 feet above the ground level shall not be considered to be a dwelling with combustible exterior. This section shall be effective on August 25th, 2023, and it was approved by their Board of Commissioners. Does anyone have any questions?
You, probably in the information where they pulled this, is this from the WUI code or is this from the 21 IFC?
I talked to Gary, it's not from the 21 IFC, there's nothing in the 21 IFC related to this. I do know that there are several jurisdictions across the country that have developed similar ordinances to restrict combustible landscaping materials, primarily outside of commercially regulated residential structures, apartments, hotels, motels, that sort of thing. So that's where Gary, I think, pulled it from was, there's a lot of agencies throughout the country have developed similar ordinances to try to reduce the risk of fire because of combustible landscaping materials. And because it's more restricted than what's in the provisions now in Chapter 3, it's considered a local ordinance, doesn't apply to single family or townhomes that are regulated or constructed under the residential code, but would apply to any other commercially regulated residential occupancy.
I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
Kim Wooten?
Yes.
All right. Mark Matheny?
Aye.
Victoria Watlington?
Yes.
Natalie McDonald? Ralph Wagner?
Yes.
Andy Cole?
Aye.
And myself, Jason Shepherd, yes. This approved, and we'll go to the council floor tomorrow. Right, item B7. Still have it.
Rolling?
Is the proponent here for B7?
My understanding is they will be attending tomorrow.
Okay. So has everyone on the committee had the opportunity to read this proposal? Proponent seeks to add Class 1 liquids to Section 5706.5.4.5, which governs fleet fueling at commercial, industrial, governmental, and manufacturing establishments. This proposed revision was approved and made final by the ICC board during the 2024 IFC during the Group A cycle, see attached. So it looks like they are proposing to submit and revise our 2018 fire code, Charlie?
As I read it and as it's submitted, it
Right.
appears to be, it didn't say either way, so I'm assuming they're proposing to modify the current code.
Right.
It does say to amend the 2018 code. That's what the agenda item says.
That's what the email said, the email they sent it with,
Okay.
heading on it says 2018 Fleet Fueling Code Proposal.
I've talked with the proponent, and it's my understanding it is to amend the 2018 North Carolina Fire Code.
So the changes that they're trying to put through are dispensing of Class 1 flammable liquids and fuel tank vehicles into the fuel tanks of motor vehicles located at commercial, industrial, and governmental and manufacturing establishments is allowed where, and they struck through permitted and put approved, such that dispensing operations are conducted in accordance with the following, which the other language is still consistent. So we've had some discussions with Charlie, and the idea here is to do mobile vending, I believe, mobile fueling. And so we let that provision is what they're trying to capture, because our current code doesn't allow for it. But the proposed code that we have, 2024, that we have as a B4 item, actually addresses solely mobile fueling. And so I would be of the opinion that we don't approve this and allow our current code to go through, but also take this and have the proponent work with the Fire Code Revision Committee, that if anything actually needs to be reviewed and looked at, that body work with them and try to come up with some language, if it is necessary, to do something in the term before we get our 2024 code. That's what I was saying. So,
Yeah, I like your point on that, and also just simply wording wise struggle with that. While in the fire code, those mean two entirely different things, right? So we've got a list
Right.
of things that are beyond actually getting like a physical building permit. Within the fire code, there's a ton of things that are actually permitted. Now they modified this in the 24 IFC, but they may have made the adjustments like we have on the mobile fuel dispensing that may not be picked up in this specific sentence. Right, so I'm really nervous about switching permitted to approved without seeing what anything deeper might have happened. But I think the mobile fuel dispensing part of it that we picked up does cover that. But I'm not sure that they're addressing that in this request. So I say all that in a very long way to say I agree with just approving this request.
right, thank you. Yeah, as I understand, permitted, because it applies with so many flammable combustible liquid permits that we issue operationally.
Right.
Going away from a requirement of permitted to an approved just starts to create a conflict, and I think really needs to have larger optics on it. So I'm gonna make a motion that we don't approve this.
I'll second.
There's a motion on the floor to not approve. Kim Wooten?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the difference between permitted and approved. So I agree with you with the motion to not approve this motion at this time because of the change permitted.
I'm gonna round robin it anyway. Ralph?
I agree, yes.
Victoria Wiley?
Yes.
Natalie McDonald? Mark Matheny?
Aye.
And Andy Cole? Aye. Jason Shepherd? Aye. All right,
Jason, I think it was a good point to bring the applicant or the proponent the recommendation
right.
to work further through what you were saying before.
Yeah, I will discuss that tomorrow if they decide to show up. Let them know and invite them to the table.
Jason. I also think it'd be helpful for us to hear from the proponent tomorrow and find out exactly. Clearly, this has been adopted as part of the 2024 code development process. I went back and looked at that. Nothing else to address Mark's point. Nothing else really was changed in the 2024 IFC, but the B4 item that's coming before you on the proposed 2024 North Carolina code has a new section 5707 that deals with mobile fueling, and that code, the 2021 IFC, doesn't change this. So And that's another reason I think it's a good idea to hold off on the approval of this, is until we at least get to the 2021 IFC language, we need to hold off on modifying what she's actually pulling from the 24. So, but I am interested in hearing why they're wanting this change.
Sure. So our next item for discussion, I'm gonna skip B4, but at the end of the agenda, we're gonna discuss item D2, which was a request by Charlie Johnson representing DOI and OSFM to amend the fire code, section D107. And this was the item where developments of 1 or 2 family dwellings where the number of dwelling units exceed 100 shall be provided with 2 separate and approved fire apparatus access roads. And the exception was, where they changed it from 30 to 100 based off of legislation.
The legislative mandates, both D2 and D3.
Yep. So make a motion, we approve this. Got a second by Mark Matheny. Kim Wooten,
Yes.
Ralph Eigner,
Yes.
Victoria Watlington,
Yes.
Mark Matheny.
Aye.
Natalie McDonald. Andrew Cole.
Aye.
Jason Shepherd, aye. Item D3 is a request by Charlie Johnson representing NCDOI OSFM to amend the 2018 North Carolina Fire Code section D107.2. Another legislative mandate. Does anyone have any questions? I'll make a motion to approve it. Second by Matheny. Kim Wooten,
Yes.
Ralph Eigner,
Yes.
Victoria Watlington,
Yes.
Mark Matheny.
Aye.
Natalie McDonald. Andrew Cole. Jason Shepherd, aye. Right. Item D4 is a request by Colin Trimey representing the North Carolina Fire Code Revision Committee to amend the 2018 North Carolina Fire Code sections 510.4.2, 510.5, 510.5.4, and Chapter 80 as follows. And so they've made some adjustments to bring NFPA 1225 and replace 1221. And this has been an approved B item made through public comment, and my recommendation is to approve this. Second by Mark Matheny. Kim Wooten,
Yes.
Ralph Eigner,
Yes.
Victoria Watlington,
Yes.
Mark Matheny.
Aye.
Natalie McDonald. Andy Cole.
Aye.
Jason Shepherd, aye. This will go to the council floor tomorrow. Item B4. B4 is the 2024 North Carolina Fire Code.
Move to approve.
So before you go all that way, I just want to remind everybody that the standing committees are responsible per our admin code to be the proponents of these changes. Our admin code also says that if there's an item in there that you think needs particular discussion or particular eyes from members of the public, we can pull them out as a separate B item so they can have testimony just on a specific code section. If you want to do that, today is the day so that we can make that motion for our agenda tomorrow. Does that make sense to everyone? So if you've got some feels about something, either super thumbs up or feeling a little, I want some more eyes on this, this is the opportunity to speak up about that. Does that make sense?
Did
So,
everyone have the opportunity to go through it? Word by word?
we need to put them like on an audio so that we can listen to them, you know, when we're going in and out of
That's
content.
a great recommendation, Carl. Whose voices are gonna be?
I don't
Not
know.
mine.
See, whichever Siri voice you want.
Right. Does anyone have any specific questions on the document? That's in the committee. It was a lot of work with Matheny, and that's why I know he was quick to put it in. We've been hanging out since January.
It is a lot, but I mean, it was very well done. It's a great team and very well vetted. So I think we've accomplished, everybody's accomplished an incredible amount of work. You know, I don't know of any, you know, to your point of what you just said, I know in the admin, we definitely want to pull that piece out, one piece out, but I don't know within the fire code that there's anything that's really significant enough that you know, that would require additional testimony or speaking or anything like that. Not that occurs to me anyway.
Yeah, we did talk about, with our last meeting, some of the highlighted changes and got that reviewed from staff, which I appreciate.
Right, so in case anybody wasn't here at our last meeting, Charlie put together a summary of the code changes. So we have summary documents of the codes. So in case you didn't go word for word and you need a higher level summary, if you didn't have, everyone should have got a copy of that, but if you haven't, let us know and we can forward that along so you can do some evening reading.
Right. With the elements. That's what I've been doing my time reading the plumbing code. We do have a request to have some discussion on 10.2.1, and we're going to entertain that discussion now. So, Nathan, do you mind kind of laying the landscape on how this came about?
Yeah, I don't want to get too far into it because it also involves an appeal that's presently before the council, and you guys are also serve as the jury on
Sure.
that. But I can kind of tell you at a higher level, where this arrived from and what the concerns are. And I think we have some folks from the Davidson County Fire Office who could also speak to what. Basically, this is a concern that arose out of some daycare and Davidson County classrooms that were basically using a particular door lever lock to try and make it so that children who had autism, who were below kindergarten age, could not get out, and they were having problems with absconding children and going out of the schools, and they're having to chase them down. So they were trying to use something that was within the fire code in order to allow that level of protection, but also make it so that there was a right of egress or a way of egress in there. And that is something that has come before the council and before DOI for formal interpretations and decision. And this particular section of the new 2024 code tries to set out an exception that would allow those kind of door lever locks or, latches that would allow them so that that could be used in those kind of classrooms. Now, this was the language that was developed by the ad hoc committee. I understand that there at least is some discussion of potentially having some alternative language that could be stuck in before for you guys.
Can you speak up, please?
Sure, I understand that there's some alternative language for this exception 5. So that's been bandied about that you guys could consider and vote on if you wanted to approve that, to put it in to B4 so that, and recommend that that be considered by the full council. Did I speak to the?
I'm not sure that they could amend this at this point, because this is not what was, the amended language that we're talking about is not what's been published as a B item.
You're right.
But we can start another B item that cycles with it. They'll end up in that code when it's adopted.
Yeah, that's right.
So make sure I got the right documentation so we can have the discussion on it. This is the change, this is the conversation piece that you handed out earlier, correct?
Right. It is.
Does everyone have a,
No, they don't.
okay.
And the people online don't have.
Do we have that or can that be emailed to us? Because we got a bunch of documents. I'm not sure what you're handing out.
I'll have to email it to you.
We'll get it
Okay,
right
thank
over
you.
to
Great, thanks.
Did I miss anybody here that's on that fire committee?
We just have that. We can see.
I'm gonna make sure that Carl, can we get a copy to our visit?
I got one.
I'll share it with David. So, read that. Y'all need this. Yep. So my question would be, I'll let you email it out. Wait.
Those of you online, Carl's emailing out the file, so stand by.
I did this at the Ralph, sorry. Sorry, Ralph. I got you.
Oh, okay, then.
So if this is anything close, but everybody would be okay with, I'll email it out to everybody again. Just as a set up as an item for March.
Wait, this is what we had before, right? This is not changed, or is this changed? Because I
It's
got
changed.
this earlier. It is changed
Yes, ma'am.
from this morning's or Jason's email?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's Jason's email. I think so. I think I just changed that this morning. I don't think I've sent it to anybody.
Okay, yeah, because I
That's
had,
very
I had
similar.
seen, yeah, I had seen the aqua language, so this is different, okay.
Yeah.
I had the yellow and the aqua, and now it's got some cross outs and, oh, no, this is actually, yeah,
The
okay.
exception is very much shorter. Part of that
Right.
exception that was in the other one is moved up into, the exception in 10.10.2, part of it, that language moved up into the exception number 5 of 10.10.2.1.
Right. Okay,
Where's the exception? The very bottom, the,
It's in section 10.10.2.
On the bottom here.
just,
yeah,
That's
it's
the
different. You're
section
right.
of
This is different.
10.10.2.1. This is all one. Well, it's confused because you don't have the main paragraph in 10.2, 10.10.2.
So there's an exception under the 10.
This is a proposed exception under 10.10.2. Right now, 10.10.2 does not have any exceptions. That's all new.
And 10. We have a 10.2.1.
But you have a 10.10.2 in the fire code. We didn't make any modifications to it, so it didn't show up in anything.
Which,
Exception.
all right, I'm gonna read through this. We're proposing, instead of the highlighted number 5, it's 144. Proposing group E, comma, classrooms, underlined and child daycare facility, identified by the local school administration as having one or more students with disabilities that require unique monitoring needs to preserve the safety of the student, shall be permitted to have locks or latches that require a maximum of 2 operations to unlatch the door from the egress side, when required as a portion of the means of egress. An approved permanent and durable sign or label with latch operation instructions shall be posted adjacent to the latch. All staff within rooms utilizing this exception shall be trained in the operation of the latch and able to demonstrate the operation to the fire code official upon request.
Hey, Jason,
Hey,
how did and child daycare facilities get added? Because how are they going to be identified by the local school administration when there's no contractual relationship or I mean, I don't get that. So a local school board or local school administration going to go into daycare facilities and identify them?
it's a good question.
No, they have daycare facilities in the school.
It doesn't say that. It would have to be and child daycare facilities in the school, because right now it just says Group E classrooms. I don't know. I just think it's not clear.
We can have them outside of the public school system.
And you've got charter schools, you've got, I don't know. I mean, how do you make sure the language is, you know what I'm saying?
Charters would be covered by this.
Would private schools?
They'd have local school administration, yes.
So private schools are covered by local school administration, school boards?
Now, it doesn't say anything about a school board.
Does a public local school administration have anything, any ability to regulate what happens in a private school?
No, ma'am.
By school administration, do you mean the administration of that school? So in a private school, it would be the administrator of the private school. It would be that.
But it doesn't
Doesn't
say
say
that.
about public school board.
It's not saying that. I'm just saying the language is unclear.
Hey, I read that as just the administration of that school. Yeah. Whether it's a daycare center or a private school or a public school or whatever.
It may be a silly point. I'm just saying I don't think the language is clear.
And you see this as an open invitation to put this on multiple doors within a school facility? A Group E classroom? Oh, so local school administrator says, how do you identify students with disabilities that require unique monitoring needs? You don't want that to be loosely interpreted where you say, I want to put locking arrangements on all the doors in this facility. Because then you open up for a debate where this is what I think, or this is medically proven, or this person's gonna use this room, or this room, or this room, and then you got widespread locking arrangement within an E occupancy, and I think that, I don't know if I like it, because I think it opens that door for opportunity,
Needs to be cleaned up.
yeah. I think,
That's why I thought maybe it ought to be a B item in March.
right, I think
I
what,
think that's a good idea.
I think what I would like to do is have the proponents work with the building group, the building committee, and the fire code revision committee, so those two codes can kind of really take a look at it and talk about the impact. And then see what they can do to work something out. And then if they can, great, maybe they can bring that back to the council board.
Just remember that you would need to have those meetings occur before the end of January, because a proposal would be due February 1st.
Right,
So.
we'll have to advertise.
Just to manage people's expectations, if that's not practical.
Right, and
Might have to be a B item in June, if that impacts.
Pat, is that something you can, with your group, with the building group, can work? David? Carl,
Earl.
is that possible?
Had to be, I mean, it'd be virtual.
Right. Y'all solved a lot of problems. Braxton. And I'm pointing to him because I know he's on the fire code revision committee. Can I connect the two of y'all?
Yeah, get together.
All right.
Well, you said 10.10.2. I'm assuming there is an exception, so that needs to be broken out into.
No, I think what we're proposing is a new exception would be added to 10.10.2.
Okay.
And that throws you down to 10.10.2 on exception 5. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And then we'll invite them to the meeting, make sure everybody's got input.
The addition of the signage is really good.
Yeah. So that's one of the issues that I see with this, that I feel like it can open up opportunity to carte blanche, pick and choose. I really want to eliminate local school administrations from saying, oh, well, you know, I don't know how to clean that up. And that's
See, I was
trying to
going
figure
the
out.
other way. I was trying to eliminate the fire marshal having to have that responsibility because he had no idea what's there.
Right.
But typically with those special needs classrooms, though, your staff-student ratios are gonna be much less than what they are in a normal classroom. They're gonna be identified by that school
Right.
administrator. I mean, there's some key points that need to be addressed to make sure we're dealing with the right rooms and we're not just saying,
Exactly.
and put it in.
Ratios is good. That's a good
But
point.
Jason, you made the point earlier that it could spread from one classroom to another. What's happening now locally, my wife just recently retired from teaching, but so many of the special needs groups, instead of it being concentrated in one classroom, they're now incorporating them into the other classrooms. So they're gonna be spread all over the place.
Right. Especially as they age. They go through the different schools, and then that's where you can really see it start to spread. I do.
That's one of the reasons why we brought the 2018 change to the delayed egress requirements
Right.
to you guys and got approval early because we were dealing with so many of these scenarios where schools were calling and saying, what options do we have to prevent the runners from leaving the classroom? So the ICC modified the model code and allowed delayed egress locks to be installed on classroom doors with occupant loads less than 50. But there's a big difference between a $17.95 plastic door lock that you can buy on the web versus a $2,000 or $3,000 system that you got to install. So that's why they're after those quick and easy fixes. But there's already a provision in the code with delayed egress locks that does give them an opportunity to secure the students in those classrooms should they need to. So there's a couple of ways to handle that, but that, I just wanted to throw that out. It's the reason why we brought that forward earlier, was to give them that opportunity. So, and the other part of that is new schools that are being designed, it would be helpful to know which rooms those are gonna be housed in, so they could go ahead and incorporate that delayed egress component within those rooms. That way you know. But with the school system, you know, the way they change rooms to rooms year to year, that could be an issue, but,
Jason,
all right.
Yes.
I know that there are children that are integrated back into the classroom, but is this to address self-contained students who have specific flight needs or behavioral issues that would not be integrated in a regular class?
It's a great point. I don't know, because the word disability is broad.
Right.
I mean, I have a disability, but I don't, you know, how do you organize?
That gets back to the school
Right.
administration, you know, and I've been in the public school, but it's been a long time. And I know that there are probably still some specific needs where there would be some self-contained issues that kids would have to be in. But I think that's, and I don't know if the word local is making us think of public versus private. And that word goes away and you say school administration wherever that application is. So just a thought to add to the conversation.
Would we need to define that?
Well, another point to make too is, you know, this is something that's probably occurring all across the state of North Carolina. It's gonna have a huge impact. And we gotta be careful this doesn't end up in a General Assembly, because many years ago when I was in Wake County, if you look in 143, 138, and I forgot what the subsection is, there's an allowance in there for seclusion rooms.
Right.
It's in the state law right now that allows school staff to lock those kids in a room. But that direct hand pressure must be on that locking mechanism. So if you read that statute, it already creates a scenario where you can have seclusion rooms. This is along the same lines of that, where they're trying to detain somebody that's behaving inappropriately. So when the committees with building and fire get together, we need to also look at that language that's in that statute for those seclusion rooms, just to make sure we consider that.
I worked in one of those schools that had a seclusion room and knew about, but I didn't work directly with that student, but yeah, it was very much needed, and it wasn't an all-day behavior. It was intermittent, where there had to be some isolation for the safety of the student as well as the others in the class. And there probably were no more than 7 in that classroom total.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, could I say something?
Yes, sir.
So Braxton County, Wake County, we have 200 some public schools here. So, and our inspectors see this commonly during our school inspections, to where we have, they call them runners. So we see a lot of different techniques, and we've been pretty successful in throwing those off. The other thing that we need to make sure that was being considered through this is what happens when the student goes to the cafeteria, goes to the gym. At what point do these measures stop? Is it just the classroom? Are these measures in place of teachers' aides? Because typically if you have enough teachers' aides in there, you don't have the runners. So it's really, really broad when you start looking at, this is almost a Band-Aid fix to a bigger problem, and where does it really stop?
That's a good point.
And to Braxton's point, was the student teacher assistant ratio in those special needs disability classes? Because they're usually much higher than in the normal classrooms, because they're getting, the student teacher ratio in those with assistants is getting much lower.
And most likely inconsistent across our state. Right?
I just think the language needs clarifications. I know when we've designed special needs schools, we have put in an electronic locking system for the runners specifically, so that that can be activated by any teacher or teacher's aide, you know, in the school, even through front office staff, that would lock all the doors to keep the runner contained in the building. But, you know, I just didn't, I think this language needs to be clarified and cleaned up a little bit. That's all. That's why didn't mean to create a huge discussion. I just thought it needed to be cleaned up some.
Well, that's what we're here for, Kim. Thank you.
Yep, got it.
Yep, there it is right there. There's that language on the screen that I was referring to with the school seclusion rooms in B11 under 143, 138.
Okay.
Now, that was typically a room within the room
Right.
that was locked separately, but the way that language is written, I mean, you could almost interpret it as being the classroom as well, because it doesn't specifically say. But the intent was a room that you would seclude someone in that was behaving inappropriately.
A question for the attorney.
Yes.
Is it seclusion rooms? I don't think I've ever seen specifically integrated that language into our codes. Is it?
I don't think that language shows up anywhere.
Right. Is it, with this proposal, and when the members look to kind of integrate language, would referencing this general statute and code be a bad idea? And try to, with the spirit of what is said here, like we do with our admin code and try
No,
to.
I would think that would be that could definitely work, where you can say, you know, where is, you know, except where especially allowed in. Because this is a statute.
Right. But to get a hold of it.
Yeah, and we have them in our school, but again, that requires a staff person with their hand on the door the entire time. If that staff person walks away, that door unlocks. And it's a chill out room is a better way to put it. If
Okay.
a combative student that is hurting others or whatever, they put them in this room, they watch them, they hold their hand, they walk them through a window until they chill down, and then they allow them back into the room.
I could be wrong, but I think Charlie's point bringing that up was, we can take care of it here in the code, we won't end up dealing with some statute that we don't understand.
Absolutely.
Like, like those BI.
Right.
We have an opportunity to fix it.
Right.
So, and through this discussion, I think between the building code review code committee and the fire code committee, I think we can come up with something that'll work.
I'll make a motion that we send this to the building and fire code committees to work, come up with language and resubmit if necessary as a B item for our next meeting.
You're inviting the building to work with you.
I can't hear you.
You're inviting the building committee to work with you on that.
With the fire code revision committee, yes.
But fire
I'll be
is-
part of that, yeah. They won't let me get out of it. Yep. Second motion, so everybody will second that?
Second.
Kim?
Yes.
Ralph Ike?
Yes.
Yes.
Victoria Wallington?
Yes.
Rob Zapple, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you, and yes.
Natalie McDonald?
Yes.
Mark Matheny?
Aye.
Andy Cole? Aye. Jason Shepherd, aye. Okay. Thank you.
Hey,
Now-
Jason, it's Rob Zappel. Just as a
Sir.
footnote, just as a footnote to that conversation, that kind of got expanded into seclusion rooms. There's a movement, I'm sure that many of you are aware of, to basically do away with seclusion rooms at all in public schools. I know here in New Hanover County, they have now been banned. So, but again, that's really not where we started with that conversation. I just thought that was an interesting side note to that.
It is, and I appreciate you bringing it up.
Mhm.
Is that something that's taken traction in the local school board in New Hanover County?
Absolutely, very controversial, but it seems to have gotten enough support to do away with it. The main issue is, okay, if we do away with seclusion rooms, nobody likes sticking a kid in a room, secluded or not. If we do away with that, what do we do with the most unruly of children? And essentially, we go back to where it was before, which is the sheriff step in, and then you brings forward the specter of a third grader in handcuffs, which has happened before, and nobody wants that either. But it's a mess. All I know is that at this point, they're doing away with seclusion rooms here in New Hanover County.
Braxton, you heard anything about that in Wake County?
No, sir. No.
Anyone else heard any of that discussion trickle across the state and local school board? Twitter? Instagram? All right, thank you, Rob.
Sure, yeah.
All right, so rest of this discussion is item B4 for the North Carolina Fire Code. Anybody have any more items they want to bring up, or were you good with?
I stand on my previous motion.
Yeah. I'll second it.
I'm not on your committee, but do you need to do an exception for 10?
Um,
10.10.2, setting it aside, given,
I don't think so, if we're gonna have
it
it.
actually looks like this
okay.
right now, without all that.
You're okay with how it looks right now?
Yeah.
We should have it go through just with the package and then put together this committee to bring something back later to follow it. So it wouldn't be adopted at the same exact time, but we would know it was in the queue. So hopefully we would be able to coordinate that.
So let me make sure I read it and I'm comfortable with it because we talked about it a lot. The language that's proposed, David, is it possible to pull up 10.10.2.1 that's
Yep, I have it right here.
in our code?
As we're proposing it for the 2024 IS,
Correct.
fire code.
Yes, I don't think he has access.
My hesitation is that this written language has that same concern of, well, I'm going to identify all these areas and these students, and they start putting all those locking arrangements on them doors.
We're gonna fix it.
Right. That's the purpose of getting the committee together, to rework this language.
Fix it or go like that.
Right, but to the point, we're sending this document forward if we approve it today. And it includes this language.
But the B item that'll be submitted at the next meeting will run in conjunction with this. And if that B item is ultimately approved, then it would modify this language
Okay,
for its printing.
I'll be good with that. That's my concern. Y'all hear my concern. So I'll be present with the meeting. So make sure that it's addressed because I don't feel comfortable with just with that existing language.
So you could also pull this out and make it a separate B item. If you want to make sure it doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
I mean, can't we send it back to the submitter and ask him to rewrite it and then bring it forward again at a later, in 3 months?
That's what they're proposing, but there's an existing change in item B4 that does introduce new language that
Right.
Jason's up.
Okay.
So that's an opportunity.
Yep.
You could make a recommendation tomorrow to pull this section out as the separate fee item.
Decisions.
So in a bigger view, while that opportunity does exist and we can do that with every section in every code that we change, my first recommendation would be to not interpret every change that the ad hoc committee made and try to break them into separate ones. I think we've had a good discussion about how to fix this. I think just like introducing new software, we submitted in there in version 1, work with the committee to get version 1.2, and just as you mentioned, that solution is gonna get approved through building code council before these even get printed, right?
Yep, all right, that's what we'll do.
And so that would just be my recommendation. Let's let this whole thing go as one, and then make those modifications.
All right. Agree with that. Thank you for your perspective.
So your motion stands.
Still.
Yeah. All right, so motion on the floor to accept the 2024,
To recommend it for approval.
recommended for approval. Second by
You.
Jason Shepherd. Kim Wooten,
Aye.
Mark Matheny.
Aye.
Victoria Watlington.
Aye.
Rob Zappa.
Aye.
Natalie McDonald. Ralph Eichner.
Aye.
Andy Cole.
Aye.
Jason Shepherd. Aye. Motion passed. Our next item is open discussion from members. Does anybody have anything for the good of the order? Anyone outside of the committee have anything for the good of the order for the fire committee? Madam Chair, I'll call this meeting adjourned.
Thank you. Ready to go to the building?
Ready?
Everybody need a 5-minute break? We're good?
Take a break, keep on.